Politics, we're back.
That time again.
Oh yeah. And I'm Attorney Roy Miller.
I'm Linda Miller.
I'm Stacey Jenkins. Thank you so much for joining us on this session of Pillow Politics.
Yeah, we, if it's hot, we'll be talking about it.
That's right. And also in the process of us talking about it, we're hoping that you guys will have a good discussion. We're trying to open up discussions, but we're trying to get communities to start talking about things. And when we start talking, we start coming up with solutions. So that's part of the thing Pillow Politics is doing.
That's right. And if you'd like to join in the discussion or ever bring anything to our attention or a hot story that you'd like for us to talk about, get in contact with us and email us at pillowpolitics@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook.
All right.
All right. Well, we're going to be talking about Disney being challenged by Reverend Franklin Graham and Ron DeSantis. A lot of you, it's red hot, just came out of the news. It appears that a lot of conservatives, like Reverend Franklin Graham and Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, do not like the idea that Disney is putting openly gay characters in their movies, or perhaps even in resemblance of that in their movies, and they are trying to look at different ways to stop that. I don't know if it could be stopped. I guess there's two sides to every coin.
Okay.
And, you know, I consider that there are those that say, hey, my kids go to school, we have traditional values, and we don't want anything shown that is against our values. Okay, at the same time, another person can say, hey, well, this isn't school, this is the movie. People can go see whatever they want to at the movie. Okay, on the other hand, I can see where parents can say, hey, if my child is going with a group to a movie and it's something controversial to parents, I want that movie to give permission. Know that that child has consent. Do y'all have any input?
You know we do.
As with any hot top subject. Oh, I guess we should say hot subject, because this is what it is going to become. You're right, Franklin Graham, he does feel like the LGBTQ activists are using corporations to force their agenda on the public. And I guess you feel that the public should, well, the public do have a choice. We do have a choice as to whether we want to allow our kids to see that or not to see it. I think, again, it's left in the parents' hand to control how far they want it to go or not go.
And what I'm tired of hearing is, I'm kind of with Governor DeSantis. Don't say gay. I don't go into my local workplace, or I don't go into a local facility saying that I'm heterosexual. And I'm just saying, and you know, and just even watching Disney movies over the years, even with heterosexual characters in the films, it was never a push on, oh, you have to be heterosexual or you have to accept our heterosexual lifestyle. I just feel like in many ways there is a strong push and a strong agenda from the LGBTQ community, and I'm on Ron DeSantis' side.
Okay, let me say this. When you talk on the Don't Say Gay, that's from Florida House Bill 1557. And, you know, of course, a lot of people don't like that. I think that we'll look at least I'm considering, what would be the legal arguments on both sides now. And just, I'm trying to be as not biased as possible.
Okay.
But looking at the argument on one side, I saw mention where a legal strategy from the DeSantis Graham side is to take away certain copyright protections. I saw it mentioned Copyright Clause Restoration Act would limit new copyright protections to 56 years and make the change retroactive for major corporations like Disney that have been granted usually long copyright monopolies, but to try to say that we're going to take certain copyright protections from you, from a legal standpoint, I don't know if that would have much of an impact, because okay, if I'm on the side of Disney, I might say, well, the people choose what they want to see, and whether you are tampering with our copyright protections is foul through Washington D.C. copyrights, patents, and trademarks. We know that it's copyrighted the moment we publish it. Just like newspapers, television shows, when it's published, you got copyright protection. So I don't know if that's an argument that's going to force change. I'm thinking that the only thing that I can see from helping the Graham DeSantis side is public support, you know, as to whether or not the public will stop
supporting it. Like, I have to go back to parents. They do have the biggest control. That's where I see it. That's how I see things are standing right now. That control, that the parents do have that. Now, when we're talking about the Disney cartoon characters, are we not? And now they're
and so we're also referring to that new movie, that new Disney Pixar movie called Lightyear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where there's this lesbian couple that is now the point of discussion right now, because it is something new, because for the first time in history with Disney, they have actually progressed the behavior of what they depict a lesbian couple should be for children to watch and for families to watch. So this is making a lot of people, especially in the conservative groups, evangelicals, which is what Franklin Graham comes out of, makes them uncomfortable. And it falls in line too with pro-choice.
Yeah, it does.
And Roe versus Wade. So they said that if they can get Roe versus Wade to be to limit that, then they can also limit our birth control rights, and they can also now look at the possibility of challenging same-sex marriages in different states. And then the next thing, possibly, because a lot of conservatives are not for interracial marriages.
You know, there was a time when certain groups of people would say the government has no right in our bedrooms.
Right.
And now I think that it seems to be so odd now. This is where they're at. This is where they are right now. And I don't think it's their business.
Yeah, and even though what I said earlier about, I am on the side of Governor DeSantis in regards to that statement, don't say gay, because I feel as if your sexuality should not define you as a human being.
That's right. Absolutely.
But I do believe on the other side that you're absolutely right. It is not the government's business on what I do in my private time.
And how
as long as I'm paying my taxes.
Right. And how you teach your children, teach your children about that. That is a delicate subject.
Yeah.
And it has to be approached in a delicate way.
What I'm thinking is that what may happen is, you know, you got PG and all of that, the different ratings. But there's got to be another rating added, maybe something like PC, parental controversial, to whereas it need to, the same way a movie theater look at if a child is brought with a parent, that's one thing. But and even in the school systems, whether or not, because it could be controversial on both sides. If you are a gay family, you could say it's controversial. I don't like the straight people shown. If you're on the other side, straight, I don't like the gay people shown. I think that there should be some warning then on movies to say, hey, let me show you the rating so you can consider it to see whether or not you want your child to see this, and whether you can, 'cause both sides now pretty much have to approve.
That's right.
Okay, but we already have ratings, and so that's where the LGBTQ community has an argument, because why are we making things different
And complicated.
when rated R or rated N-17 was good enough for your sexual scenes as heterosexuals, it should be good enough for our scenes, and you do your own research.
That's right.
Okay, but what I'm saying is this,
I agree.
and I understand, and that's good what you said and everything, but what I'm saying is this, that now we have a problem where we never had it before, to whereas you had straight couples hugging and kissing. Okay, now that we have also bringing in lesbian couples doing the same, both of them may object to each other, saying, if I can't do it, you can't do it. So from a parent perspective, I think it may have to be an obligation placed on the movie theater to make sure if children are coming in, that they have parental consent towards those two issues. That they know that it's going to be some gay material.
But
that they
then that's where the LGBTQ. That's why. So that's
But
why.
I'm saying both ways. That they ask. They also say that this is going to be some heterosexual activity.
Okay. But
That
they
way,
already
both
do
sides.
that. They already do that with NR-17, PG-13, rated
do.
R.
Well, okay. See, but kissing is not necessarily rated R.
No, what I'm saying is like full-blown sexual scenes in these movies that you can see if you're 17 and older.
I mean, okay. Now, what I'm talking about is school-age children, and a consideration from parents, like the Disney
Still
movies,
rated.
Characters.
and the characters of saying, "Hey, look, we need to know from the parent, do you have an objection? Because we have heterosexual kissing, and we need to know from the gay parent, do you have an objection?" You see what I'm saying? Like, it gives both parents on both sides the opportunity to say, "No, I don't think I want my child to see this."
But then, to me, that's just my opinion. This is just
Okay,
my
okay.
opinion now. This is just my opinion. When you offer a choice,
Okay.
then you're creating differences on each side. So, like, why should I have to consider a heterosexual person's comfortability for what I think my child can see, and vice versa? Why should I consider what the LGBTQ community is comfortable with and what their children are comfortable with? I feel like this: leave it where it's at,
I agree.
and don't say anything about it. That's
I
why I agree
agree.
with. Don't say gay.
Okay, let me say this now. This is the situation.
Okay.
When the Disney movies start to play in schools, it becomes a concern then that a parent say, well, I needed to know. You see, it could go either way. I'm just saying that I anticipate that it's going to end up being played mostly before children, and it may be in libraries or schools, or different settings. But I think that if a parent objects to a movie having content of heterosexual involvement, they have a right to say, I need to know that so I can tell my child. You can't show this to my child the same way with gay involvement, that heterosexual parent can say, well, I don't want my child to see this. But I guess what I'm saying is some obligation, whether it's a teacher showing it in the classroom, to contact the parent and say, hey, we're going to show a movie that's going to involve. You see, I know that it seems like
But most of the times, schools automatically pretty much vote on.
Regulate that pretty good.
In the beginning of the year, they have a media list of what they're going to show each grade level. And then a lot of times, they have gone so far as to actually send a list of films and books that the children are going to read, and not on the, what do you call it, on the the lesson plan that they send home, the curriculum that they send home to the parents, so they get an idea. Because it might have a derogatory word in there, like the N word, you know, and
no doubt about it.
So of course, parents are going to need to know about that.
No doubt about it, and they have taken books out of school libraries just for that.
Right.
I guess what I'm saying is I don't know that considering the problem and trying to find a solution, it seems to me that in a school, because this is a new issue, it's kind of like testing drug tests for a person to test positive for drug before poppy seed. They had been asking all types of questions, but they never asked about had you had any poppy seed muffins or anything like that, which would make give you a positive results in a drug test. So when they found that out, they started to add that, you know, in the questionnaires. So I guess what I'm saying that now that we know that it's important maybe for a school system to send out even at the beginning of the year something to parents, do you have any objection to your child seeing material that may have heterosexual or homosexual, you know, or whatever?
But how far are we? Okay, so are you just saying now, because we're not talking about actually sexual activity of adults,
right,
or even teens in the film, because in these films or media, any type of media, books or whatever, because they are children. So you're just saying like the concept of a same-sex household.
Well, you know, what I'm thinking is this, trying to avoid an explosion. Because it's predictable that if certain things are shown in schools to some conservative parents and family parents, when they find out, you're going to have lawsuits everywhere, and you're going to have people angry.
There it goes back to the list that the school sends home to the parents. And the parents look at the list and decide what they want their child to see or not to see, or to read or not to read.
Yeah. And I mean, I look at it like this. Parents also have the right to take their kids out of a school and put them in private school, or put them into a school that's based on religious.
To what they
know. Yeah.
You know, let me say that.
So let me ask this: we're talking about small kids with the cartoons.
That's what I'm thinking. Pixar, Disney,
the
little
small kids, you know. So we're not talking about necessarily teenagers, teens, and things like this, because they can see that and anything else that's going on. You know, but we are talking more about the smaller kids. That's where the concern really is, that we're really worried about, the smaller kids.
Yeah, and I feel like it shouldn't even be a factor. That's why the don't say gay, because you know what? A lot of primary educators are a part of the LGBTQ community. So these children are already being exposed to alternative lifestyles outside of being heterosexual. So I feel like, why
are we making it a big issue?
Making it a big issue, and that's why I always say about the Democrat. I have a real bone to pick with the Democratic Party. To me, I always say I think the Democratic Party has morphed into the sexual identity party. There's more focus on gay rights, helping, you know, the gay community. Even with President Obama, there was no laws really passed in favor of African American community. All of the racism that we've had to face historically
dominates the priorities.
Exactly.
Right. It's like
but he passed the law for, you know.
I will say that it's ahead of black on black crime. It's ahead of it's ahead of everything.
Yeah.
We've been arguing, you know. We have been arguing the gay rights over everything.
Everything. It's like it's the first agenda for the Liberal Party.
It is. It really is.
No doubt about it.
Trying
to find.
That's basically what we've been doing. No solutions in place.
Trying to find solutions to problems.
Yeah.
And but I strongly believe, in my opinion, that it would be in the best interest of school system to at least send a note at the beginning of the year. Do you object to your child seeing heterosexual kissing in a movie, anything that we show, or same-sex kissing? I think that would then allow a student to be, a decision. Do we want to show this, or do we want just certain students to see this that parents approve of it? Because most people may not object, but I'll tell you, for those that will, you're looking at lawsuits. And many parents don't find out what their children are doing until after the fact.
Well, that's why you need to be active in your
That's
children's
right.
education.
And no doubt about
That's
it.
right.
We should be, but
Yeah.
most parents aren't coming to PTA meetings, but they raise
Yeah.
pure
But at the end of the
sense.
year,
Yeah.
that's when they want to discuss
Oh, yeah.
everything, but it's
Everything.
too
Oh, yeah.
late. It's too late.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You have 4 quarters, 2
That's right.
semesters.
That's
yeah.
right.
And now all of a sudden you want to come and raise sand.
A discussion should have been put in place at the beginning of the school year.
That's right.
That'll solve so
Yeah.
many problems.
And I definitely agree with both of you
Mm-hmm.
that somehow we have the problems of the elderly, we have people poor and starving, we have
Yes.
crime,
Right.
especially black on black crime. But we
Social
have allowed
Security,
this
where is that
issue,
gonna go
we
to?
have allowed the issue of gay rights now to, which
Just to
need to be
overshadow
heard,
everything.
but now it's like the tall tree in the forest and everything don't matter. And I'm looking at kids, especially black kids, die every day, record numbers.
Yeah.
And I just
Crime
don't
and
see
violence.
that
Mhm.
interest.
Absolutely.
I don't
No.
see the interest.
No.
that
It's
you
not
see.
there. It's not there. I think we have become so used to this type of violence that it's just another number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm tired of our children dying. It really hurts. And I
Well,
would
we
like to
gotta-
see America be as concerned. You have so many people still living in poverty, and where you
Absolutely.
find great poverty, you will find crime.
Crime.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like a married couple, you see them together.
Mhm.
They come together.
Absolutely. Especially now that the economy is getting so bad, you know, our social classes, our economic lines are now being pushed closer together.
Right.
You know, we're having to cohabitate closer together in neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and post-pandemic, it's a lot of tension.
Sure
And
is.
so our children are just reacting on what we've created for them, you know.
You're right.
Now, as we said last week, this does go back to parenting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that there's no responsibility there, but no accountability. But yes, you're right. It is vital. It's volatile right now.
It is.
Yeah,
But they're marching for abortion rights.
yeah. And it's
And
been
gay
a
rights.
distraction from something. Yeah, right. And in the meantime, crime goes higher.
Yeah.
And it does.
Oh yeah.
It really does.
And can I say this too?
Mm-hmm.
So even with this Disney movie, and it's crazy because Disney being in Florida
Mhm.
and Governor DeSantis being a Floridian governor creating that legislation.
Yeah, don't say gay. Yeah.
Yeah, don't say gay. You know, in the conversation about sexuality, it forces politicians, it forces our lawmakers to have to take a side.
It does.
And I wish we will come to a day where we no longer focus on who's gay, who's straight, and we just focus on going back to who's American, you know, our patriotism. And I also believe that if we would stop being so focused on sexuality, and it would help to heal our racial division.
I think so too.
Okay, now let me ask you this. What do you think Disney would say to that? Because they want to make movies.
And I don't put Disney down.
No.
Disney is a capitalist society. I feel like you make your money.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, but still, they what you were saying, you wish that the focus could just, and I agree that people are people, and I try to look at how do you fight for everybody's rights, and try to look for solutions where both sides feel like they had an equal say so, and it was considered.
Right.
You know, but it would be good if people didn't have to know so much about private business.
Absolutely.
Especially children,
That's
knowing so
true.
much
That's true.
about the private business of adults. Certain things, because you just have differences.
That's
You
right.
have some people that believe in the mom, dad, and the children, male, female, and the children. You have some believe in the same sex.
Yeah.
You know, families are redefined now.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're trying to satisfy both sides, which is kind of impossible, but at least trying to show that both sides has an equal say-so. And as to what their children see. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been a good conversation.
Yeah, it has
And
been.
we, we thank everybody for tuning in
Yeah.
to our show, Pillow Politics. And I'm Attorney Roy Miller.
I'm Linda Miller.
And I'm Stacey Jenkins, and we want to hear more of your comments in the comment section below, and also email us at pillowpolitics@gmail.com, and don't forget to like and subscribe our YouTube channel and our Facebook.
Yeah, please subscribe. And until next time, we just want to say, have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.